Well, thank you guys and welcome me to HISAdvocates.tv. My name is Kelby. Tonight's show is going to be an interesting one. We're going to be discussing living in the private and the importance of it and why, and some of the main questions that we get from people on the topic and how do we overcome. But like we always do, I'm going to ask that you join me in prayer and just lift up yourself, lift up whatever's going on in your life. I'm going through a lot right now, and it's overwhelming sometimes. It's one of those things where you know that when you're getting pelted from all different areas, you're coming to a point where you're going to have a great breakthrough. And I'm just sticking with that, and that's what I'm believing. So, Father God, we just ask that you bless the show, bless the people on it. Lord, we all have certain issues that we need to bring before you. We need to learn how to present them appropriately, respectfully, but help us just to believe that you're going to do the finished work on that and keep walking in faith. James 1:2. And when we count the trial a joy, it helps us produce a steadfast faith. Why? Because we're offering everything to you, Father, and you're answering our prayers, and we see it, and then the faith just builds and builds and builds. So help us to stay there. We love you. We thank you for all you're doing in this ministry, and ask us to just bless the people, and it's in Jesus' name, amen. So I've kind of had it on my heart the last couple of months. We've been going through a lot of changes, growth in database structure, getting a lot of things in place ready for the next step or next level. I do want to let you guys understand and know that one of the most important things that we're moving into as a ministry is understanding the Office of General Executor, or the trust element of the birth certificate, because it's absolutely critical that, because many people are operating still in wanting, because they either have a federal job or a state job, or a job that they they don't want to change it from a W-2 to a W-8 BEN for a non-resident alien. And then there's some people who are vice presidents of companies and or law enforcement or what have you, that are literally wanting to become Americans and moving into the private. First off, we are about a week behind in our ticket responses. We're going to get that caught up in the next 2 or 3 days, and we apologize, but we've had some huge growth and some huge internal changes, and we had to wait till certain reports were able to be pulled so we can get into the tickets and figure out where we were at. If there's anything where you need an emergency responded to, I'm going to give you, now look, I know this is going to blow up on me, but only send me a text if it's an emergency. It's 714-630-3655. 714-630-3655. Only if it's an emergency. If you're a VIP member, you're more than welcome to send me a text. But do me a favor, submit a support topic. Click on support on HISAdvocates.org. Post your support topic. We will get you there. I promise. We're not negating people. As a matter of fact, it's just a better place to get stuff done. And we're also, this year in 2020, we've got our knowledge base kick-started, and we're going to be filling it up with content for the VIP members so that they're going to be able to just access quick data, and then also that living in the private group that we have on the back end of HISAdvocates.org. It's going to be discussing the different elements for people of what it means to go into the private side, and how do they at least take beginning steps and start working towards a living in the private for themselves. I hear all the time people talk about other gurus' processes, call them guru, call them whatever, people's processes out there, and a lot of times I hear people getting in trouble, or I hear people attempting to access certain accounts. And look, there really is no hidden account, but there is an account, and it's the Social Security account. Everything is attached through that, and you can't be a benefactor of that or what have you unless you've taken certain steps pertaining to the BC. So I'm making a public comment to people. The Living in the Private program isn't to teach you how to access an account and where you can settle and discharge debt. It's to teach you how to come out of that structural system And the reason is every time, and I had a conversation with a really good friend, and living in the private member, one of the oldest ones, and he asked about his credit cards, and I told him straight up, I said, look, every time you charge something on a credit card, you're giving the bank that money, and then you're paying them again. Because you got to remember something, there is no debt that's allowed to be created in the structure in the system, HJR 192. So anytime that you're doing a charge on a card, this is why I'm always trying to pay with debit instead of credit, is because I don't want the bank to make a dime on my transactions, and I don't want the structure in that system to benefit, because the banks really are the structure in the system that's behind really the chaos of the world, and they're the power structure. The powers to be behind the Federal Reserve System, and they're the power structure to be behind our inability to make our debt payments to them, and they're the reason. And so all they do is they've, through the Federal Reserve Act, they took the gold, they took the land, and they took the people against the debt over a right to print money. And that's, to me, it's not fair, and to me, it's ridiculous that Congress has still not ousted them at this point and then restructured, because the debt minimum doesn't pay the interest minimum, meaning the amount of taxes collected doesn't pay the interest minimum every month to the Federal Reserve. And if you want to really get your mind wrapped around that, there's several books that you can read. But guys, look, we need to do a Jubilee, and I think that's what's coming. I think they're going to make some attempts to do that. You hear prosperity packages, Nasara, on these various different things. They're not true. They are true. There's things that are being prepared right now. The update is it could happen, but probably won't, but by April, and it's not going to happen to the masses. It's going to happen to the groups that are doing the humanitarian efforts and some different things. So that's stuff that we've been looking into and following and tracking for 10, 12 years now. Me personally, I don't know about you, and it's very important that you get your mind wrapped around what's going on in this world. Also, look, coronavirus, AIDS virus, these various viruses, you can find the patents. We posted them on the Living in the Private group on the Facebook pages. If you're not already following us, go to Facebook, look up Living in the Private, and ask to join that group. We do a lot of posting there. We ask that you also participate and start, spreading some information. It's not a private group, it's a public group, meaning it's private for the members within it, but there's no doubt anything that goes on Facebook is very public, and Facebook has made a thing about suppressing certain information from the public, and or they'll take information like chemical trails, which are absolutely 100% true, and they'll put a little blurb right below it that it's false, and that it's and give a description of somebody's element of a contrail on Wikipedia. And I want to give you just something to think about if you don't understand what just even that one thing is, and I'm not going to spend more than 10 seconds on it. But a chemtrail is they say it's the exhaust from an engine hitting the cool of the air, creating a steam, and that's what you're seeing above in the clouds. Unfortunately, that steam keeps getting bigger, wider, making ugly, large clouds, and falls to the earth. And then the farmers across this nation are testing their soils 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 times the limit for aluminum, barium, and strontium. So I want you to look at it this way. When your shower in your bathroom hits the coolness of the air and creates the steam, how come it doesn't do the same thing that the atmosphere of the chemtrail does up in the air, where it would just get bigger, bigger, fill your house, go outside, go down the street, fill your neighbor's house, fill all the houses around down the street, because that's what steam does. It goes wider, wider, bigger, bigger. It just does not make sense, does it? So that's the ideology of a contrail they want you to believe coming out of these planes, that's getting wider and falling to the earth. It's really a contrail. And that's the analogy of how you can explain it to your neighbors. It's not a plausible answer for you, buddy, because when you take a shower, it dissipates the very second you open your bathroom door, because the coolness of the air overpowers the steam. And that's what would happen in the atmosphere. The coolness of the air would overpower the steam. So Regarding the living in the private program, some of the questions that we get, are you able to keep your Social Security? And the answer is that's your sweat equity. That's something you've earned. And when we get to that point, we have a choice with people. Do they want to utilize the Social Security account number, or do they want to walk away from it? And we have certain letters that do each. We are about teaching people to come out and stop using that number, and I will teach people that because, like I said, that conversation with that guy that day or today about using the credit card, every time that you do a note, you're creating cash for the bank. It literally is at the, they're taking that, they're sending it through, like they're flipping the note, they sign it, Wells Fargo Bank Vice President, pay to the order, account number, blah, 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 and they sign it. So the questions we need to be asking ourselves, if Wells Fargo was truly giving a loan, why is Wells Fargo endorsing your check, which is what a note is, and asking for funds, and from who? And so it's coming from the Federal Reserve window, from your quote-unquote birth bond account, your Social Security account, prepaid account, because your birth certificate is on 32-pound watermarked banknote paper. It has a CUSIP number on it, and it's traded on Wall Street. Anybody that's interested and you want to see what the value of your social is, VIP member or not, free member included, go to HISAdvocates.org, click on support, post a support topic asking for that info, and we'll submit it to you so you can go and check what the value is of your social and who's investing in it and why. I mean, the why is what you got to figure out, but it's pretty interesting because it's for real. And so when and they want to call it something to the effect of fractional reserve banking. It's a polished term. It's something that people are used to. It's where the bank keeps a percentage of 5–10% in the bank, and the government will loan them the balance against that percentage to people that they find they qualify within certain elements of, FICO score and different things. And it's all malarkey for the most part. But yes, there is some qualification needs for and certain things I'm sure that happens that will pay higher dividends to them. But 100%, listen to me very carefully, 100% of the interest, 100% of the principal is prepaid to that bank up front. Now, we will show conversations of, on a stand of what that sounds like to an attorney asking a CFO those types of questions on a stand. We actually posted it on our YouTube channel. By the way, if you're on YouTube right now watching this, please subscribe below, but also go and check out the different playlists, especially our state citizen training. We offer free training, several hours, and within those training modules we have shepherdized case law, showing people the difference of the United States citizen and the state citizen that all still exist in the law today. So first and foremost, to the women and to the men that fear becoming a state citizen, listen to me very carefully. I would have more fear in your seat than in my seat any day of the week. And the reason is the state citizen movement has never been attacked because it is so well-rounded in the law. And what we are doing at HISAdvocates is we're not pretending to be a sovereign or to be a sovereign citizen or to be anti-government, or we're not this big pushback organization. We're just a reality organization that we found and discovered some serious truths. And me, where I hold different licenses and stuff, and I from a standpoint of looking at the law, want to be educated, want to make sure I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's. I had to go and dig up the shepherdized case law, and I present that to you in those training modules because it's very important that you understand these still exist in law today, and they weren't overturned by a 3-panel judge, and there are hundreds of them. This isn't random stuff. So it's better to be free under God any day of the week than to be a collateralized surety of the debt of a corporation known as the United States any day of the week. And it's not that I don't fear reprisal or fear those things. I just believe that there's protections that God is doing for us as a ministry and for the people that are wanting to be free, because he said, come out of her, my people. And he's specifically talking to a group of people that are under God, not to a group of people that are not under God, because my people is very specific as to being they are already people that have elected to come under God, and now God is saying, look, you need to come out. And so why is he asking us to come out? And why do you have and seriously, I want you to just stop and think for 1 second, why do you have such a desire for freedom? Why do you think it's wrong? Why do you have this feeling in your gut that you think it's wrong to be under this corporation, knowing what this corporation is doing throughout? I'm not saying it's a bad, quote-unquote, entity right now. I'm not saying the administration is bad currently. I'm not saying there's not good people in government. I always hear the argument where government is bad, government is this, government is that. And I'm going to tell you right now, no, it's a flawless, perfected structure. Sure, you can find issues with it, but the reality is it's the people. This last couple of years, and I'm not do a diatribe right now on this, but this last couple of years, I've never been so ashamed of the people operating in Congress of the United States corporate government. Never been more ashamed of their behavior, and it's not just the left. It's members on the right. Never been more ashamed, and it's our fault. And this is something that a lot of people can't get over. They just don't want to accept responsibility, don't want to accept the liability of it, and they're not doing anything about it. And they're putting up with the lies. You know, here it was a few years ago that how could a billionaire be for president? Now the Democrats are looking at Bloomberg going, oh, a billionaire? I mean, it's just the joke of jokes of jokes of jokes. I'm just appalled at what's going on in this nation. We need to be uniting the people. And unfortunately, the people that own the news media and the people that own and control the banks, which control and regulate the information flow through Facebook, through all the different accounts that we're using for social media, they're regulating, and they're purposely doing a divide and conquer. And we have to be smarter than that. We have to be really stepping back and thinking about what we need to be doing to be above reproach and uniting the people still, because we have one of the best, we have the best country on the face of this earth. And in law, there is a nation known as America, the United States of America. It's 50 several states of the Union. And we also have a corporate United States, and we have to start being smarter and wiser than them. And the funny thing is the United States exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia, and so they send these legal, lawful letters to people that are trying to take their Social Security and remove their signature from the agreement, and they say, so long as you are in the United States, you are not able to blah, blah, blah. And it's hilarious, because UCC 9-307H, UCC 9-307H says the United States exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia. So there is no possible way, for the most part, that you are in the United States. And let me just say this too, even if you were in the District of Columbia, let's say I'm in Orange County, or I'm in the District of Columbia, and there's a thing called the Diocese of the District of Columbia. It's a Catholic diocese. It's a region. It's the same square miles as the District of Columbia. Just because I'm in the District of Columbia does not mean that I am a member or a party to the District of Columbia Catholic Diocese. You feel me? So just because I'm in Orange County, California, does not mean I'm a party to a corporation of any kind. It's a corporation, plain and simple. So when we're dealing with a corporation here at HISAdvocates, we're taking ourselves and we're pulling ourselves out of that office of the person and moving into a hat capacity of the general executive or the beneficiary. And you got to know when and how to wear those hats, when to take them on and off, and how to utilize them. But the point being, I don't even want to utilize it. I don't need to utilize it, for me personally. And that's not the opinion of everybody. And I got you, and I hear you. And people say status and standing is not important to be able to deal with criminal elements or criminal charges, and that very well might be true pertaining to the general executor and how you may be able to manage that within a criminal element. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I do not want to let them make one more dime off of my efforts. I do not want to be a party to that entity that is really screwing this up for the world. I am called to come out. That's my responsibility. That's what I am going to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts for me. It's being loyal to the Creator who gave us this exit strategy here on this earth right now to come under God. And that requires of us to stop utilizing these elements of the Social Security and the things in which they are able to make money to go out across the world and do what they're doing. That's why. So when you charge something on a credit card, even your debit card, it has two elements to it, a charge and a debit. And this is why they give you 1%, 2%, 3% return for using the charge card, or benefits or miles or whatever it might be, is because you're actually creating cash for them instantly, and then you're also paying them the debt. That's a fact, not a pretend fact. They are not loaning money out of their coffers to pay a vendor so they can make 1.5%. They're not doing that. They are getting prepaid because anytime you swipe a credit transaction, that's money straight to the bank. Straight to the bank. And then you pay them. So this is the problem that we have in this nation, is these banks are really taking it to the people. And the structure and the system is that we're in a bankruptcy, and we as a people are operating really in good faith, but we're not being fully disclosed to that we are the collateral, and that they're utilizing us to get to, or the equivalent of us, the birth bonds, and where we are stepped into that office, and where we become the liability and the collateral. They're not doing full disclosure. So I heard something from a member yesterday, and I want to clear the air on this immediately. And I used to have arguments with members of the Republic pertaining to what I'm about to tell you, because they all feel that because these adhesion contracts are dead on its face, meaning they're not lawful, they're not legal, they're small font, they're hidden, they're not doing full disclosure, that they're in bad faith, and that we don't need to deal with them. I will tell you right now, unequivocally, you do. And here's why. Because when you get a charge instrument, meaning an indictment, what they bring forward is your adhesion contracts. And if you think for a second that you're going to convince them that you didn't agree to that, good luck. I'm telling you right now, unless you deal with that contract in advance. Because you might think you have a fight, you might think that there's some constitutional right. You don't have constitutional rights. The Constitution wasn't developed for you. It was developed to restrain the government. You have God-given unalienable rights, and when you put your signature on something, you better do what you say you're going to do, even if you got to read the fine print. Because they will, no matter what, hold it against you, and you will go to prison if you don't know how to deal with that general executor or being the beneficial interest in that transaction and setting that debt off within the court. Most people don't know how to do that. Most people don't know how to stand. Most people don't know nothing like that. And so you're going to go to prison if you don't know the steps of how to secure yourself in advance in the living in the private. Guys, you have to deal with the contracts. You have to. Now, I'm going to deal with another thing tonight. This isn't to put down the efforts of men or women. There's a group called National Liberty Alliance. Super proud of their efforts. Super proud of what they're trying to get accomplished. But I laid it out for a guy last night why it's not working and why many of these members are getting in trouble, because they're making phony true bills, or maybe real true bills, but they're, the element of Rundle versus Delaware, that a corporation cannot sue a living man. I want you to understand, you cannot do business with anything other than a like entity. So me as a man, I can only do business with another man. I can only do trade exchange. I can only whatever with another man. Now, it is my artificial person that is conducting business with another corporation. Artificial person being the birth certificate, being the one on the checking account, being the one on the driver's license. Those are all artificial persons, state-owned, state-controlled. And so the reason why I'm saying this, and you go back to this entity who's creating grand jury indictments. Here's what I used to tell the people in the Republic. You all are a bunch of what would I say? Basically, U.S. citizens pretending to be in the Republic. And to this day, many of them are U.S. citizens pretending to be in the Republic. Listen to me, how can you sign anything, a checking account, a driver's license, anything, the hundreds of contracts you've signed over your life? How can you sign something saying I'm a United States citizen, and then one day just say it's over and I'm able to be a state citizen without doing anything to all those signatures that I did? You can't. The second thing is, how can you operate in a de jure grand jury as a United States citizen? It's a double standard. You have an oath to the United States. You have a responsibility as a citizen of the United States. You cannot be involved in an organization that is for Americans. We're all Americans. Don't get me wrong. Don't act like you're not able to hear me, and don't shut this off because you're upset, because I'm not putting your organization down. I'm not putting your efforts down. I want you to be smarter than the people that you're coming against. You can't develop a true bill for a corporation. You can't come into the corporation and develop a true bill against a judge. You can't develop, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. And there's many people that were a part of organizations like that or that one that went to prison for making indictments and true bills against people they shouldn't have. First off, if you're going to be operating in the de jure, you better be de jure. De jure means original, lawful. So if you're going to be operating as a state citizen, which is the only one that has access to the original lawful de jure grand juries, because United States citizens need to conform to United States codes, rules, and procedures. They need to operate into de facto grand juries, and you don't operate de facto grand juries. They have a jury selection process. Okay? They have a grand jury selection process, and you're not a part of that. So you can't go over into the de jure grand jury and pretend when you have all these elements of contracts over your head that you're in a de jure capacity. It's just not plausible. It's commendable that you're trying, but it's not plausible in law, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. The first thing, what we need to do is we need to become de jure. But the only person you're going to bring a charge instrument over is somebody else in the de jure capacity. Period. Why do you think these corporations are so protected? Why do you think corporations don't get indicted? Because they're fictitious instruments. They're fake. They're dead. Do you know what attorney at law means? Go look it up. At law. Go look up attorn. To attorn dead matters. That's what it means. They're attorning the birth certificate, the dead issue, the dead matter. Guys, we've had all these things right in front of us, and we need to just start dissecting really what they've done. And be smarter. Be wise. But be smarter than them. And it's not always easy. So if you're going to come in the private, you need to come into the private. If you're going to make pretend things out there and be a part of a de jure grand jury, you can't cross over into de facto land and issue an indictment. It's not possible. You can only go over your own society of people. Okay? The de jure element does apply to them in a de jure capacity, but you can't come after them in a corporate court to get a corporate indictment over them when you're issuing a de jure grand jury summons or a de jure grand jury true bill. It's not going to happen. You need to stop playing games. Keep up the good work. Come into the private, but understand there's other ways and things that we can do to go after these guys who are not operating against the people appropriately. And a part of that is understanding the general executor. A part of that is understanding the beneficiary. Most of it is understanding who you are as living in the private. Because if you can't be charged, you can't be charged. If they don't have any contractual elements against you, you can't be charged. They can maybe do a railroad against you, find something under the Trading with the Enemy Act, and bring you in for joint terrorism task force stuff or whatever. Look, that's between you, them, and God. That's when it gets ridiculous. And we are headed towards ridiculous. But guys, first and foremost, this is now becoming super imperative that we come into the private and we start realizing what that means. And that means letting go of some of those things that we like. And those questions that you guys have about, can I keep my credit? Sure. Are you living in the private? Are you still helping the banks? Why do you need to do that if you got a debit account that has cash in it that you're just going to use anyways to pay at the end of the month? If you need credit to buy a house, are you really living in the private? Or are you helping the banks still? Look, guys, here's a reality check for you. These banks are funding both sides of the war, and they own the companies that are developing the products, the weapons, and the training of these paramilitary forces of the military-industrial complex that are going in killing the people around the world. It's not funny anymore. I don't want one dime, 1 ounce, 1 minute of my efforts to support that. That's my 2 cents. I don't want to participate in something that is pure evil. I want out. And I understand that people are worried about, losing their Social Security benefits. You're not going to. You have a right to them. That's your equity position, and we do ask for that when we're canceling our signature from that agreement, because we show them in the contract under their own statutes where you have that right to cancel the agreement. And they want you to believe that you can't cancel the agreement. I most assuredly say anything fraud in the factum you absolutely can remove your signature from. But then they always write these letters back, and it's, anybody in the United States? Well, great. I'm not in the United States. I'm on California, and it's not a region. It's a body politic of people that say, hey, I'm under you. You're my protector. Your law is number one in my life, and I stand there. So let's take that, and let's be very serious. If you guys have concerns or issues or questions, post your questions right now in the comment section. I'll try to get to them over the next few minutes. Otherwise, if you're a VIP member, you can go to HISAdvocates.org, and you can post your questions there. Again, we're playing catch up in the next several days on the questions. If you have emergencies, I gave my text number out. Again, only for emergencies, 714-630-3655. 714-630-3655. You got to put your name in there. Don't make me ask your name. What your emergency is, and we'll try to get an appointment or consultation with you to help you out. Guys, this is simple stuff. Thursday, I promise I am doing a VIP call. I'm sorry about the last couple of weeks. I've been sick, man. I think I figured out my eye. I've been going to the chiropractor. It's getting better. It's opening up more. There's a nerve in my neck that's pinched. So we've been doing a lot of therapy and getting it stretched. And right when I leave the chiropractor, my eyes open. It feels good. And then throughout the day, leaning forward, bad posture, whatever it is, it's making my eye close up again. But God bless you guys. I will see you Thursday for the Q&A. And we're going to answer a lot of questions this week. And I really appreciate it. Join VIP. We could use your support, and if you do join VIP and you haven't done the passport process yet, just for joining VIP, it's $49 a month. We will do the passport process from beginning to end for you. If you're interested in living in the private, call the number that's overhead. It'll be on the YouTube channel. But our phone number is pretty easy, 844-HISAdvocates, 844-HISAdvocates. It'll start ringing before you're done dialing ADVO. It'll start ringing. Extension 703, 844-HISAdvocates, extension 703. God bless. I'll see you Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for checking in.